Okay, so just to talk about mods in general, what stuff is good. I'm going to cover this on normal weapons. I'm not going to go into the raid mods. Just know that on raid armor, you have specific mods for the raids. You'll get those from doing the raids. Some of those ones for the Leviathan you can get through the menagerie. So just bear that in mind. Just so starting with the helmets. So everyone's familiar with all of these things that increase the actual stat points of your six stats by 10. They're all decent. They all have their purpose. Down here we have resistance mods. I couldn't ever recommend resistance mod. There is a time that I probably would, but it would be like on some ridiculous burn of a particular element. But until you actually find that and people are just shooting you with lots of that element, I couldn't recommend it. I'd say it's a waste of a slot. Instead, I would recommend the minor resist, the major resist, the boss resist, and the concussive dampener. That would be the last one to choose, but it is good because those times that you're trying to hide out and then the enemies are throwing grenades into your safety spot, that's going to help you with some of those. But these do really well. You know, they can't be stacked, so you can only put one on to actually help you with that. But in most scenarios, if you have an extra slot, an extra point, I do really recommend sticking on minor, major, and boss resist, so that you have a full set of armor that's doing those things. They are really good. Moving on to the middle column, we're going to get a lot more things here. For the helmet, we're going to get anything that increases the aim assist that we're getting with specific guns, as well as things that increase the finders. So we'll have our ammo finders. I'll explain about the ammo finders just in a second. Just for the aim assist, you'll have these blue ones, which are come from the artifacts of the season. They're great. They really are great. Don't rely on them too much because they will go away. So for certain builds, make sure that you're actually setting that to something that works for the weapons that you're always going to use. For instance, for my Nightfall build, I would always use the same thing. I probably wouldn't use one of the artifact mods because I don't want to change it as seasons go on and then figure out I have to change the element of a helmet just to help me out or something. So I just specify that to just a specific build. For me, it's actually the ammo finders. um, the ammo finders, we have the general ammo finders here. They cost much more than the normal usual ammo finders, but every element of armor will actually react to different weapon types. So we can see here in the void, we have grenade launchers, hand cannons, sniper rifles, sidearms. That's what the grenades do. We can just switch over to a solar based one. We have our fusion rifles, rockets, and linear fusion rifles, and auto rifles. And then over on the arc, we can see our shotguns, bows, machine guns, and swords. Just so you know, trace rifles were included in the auto rifle class. So if you want to do stuff to increase the trace rifle ammo counts, you're going to use auto rifle finders, um, which is great because they're quite cheap. So over here, these things do stack. They don't stack like two times. They're usually 1.5 times, especially if you have something like an enhanced. Usually can't you do two enhanced ones, but it doesn't matter anyway because they just come out to 1.5 times of a bonus. I believe they add plus 10 to your aim assist values for that specific weapon type. There are people online on YouTube that I can recommend who will give you like really good statistics on all this. So some of those people are Drewski, Cami Cakes, Cool Guy, and Fallout Plays. If you follow their channels, if you really want to know in depth, I mean, I'm talking really in depth stuff about the game and the mechanics, you'll follow those guys. But just as a brief overview, these are giving you plus 10 if that when they're enhanced. If it's just normal, it's giving you a plus 5. So over on the final one, we have the seasonal mod slot. The seasonal mods are a little different. I couldn't explain about a lot of them because I don't use this current season's mods. I heard a lot of people tell me they're great, and you know I see them do some cool stuff. Usually, I just want to kill someone and make sure that I don't die. So to actually shoot something else in the map rather than the enemy, I don't find that is good for my playstyle. But you know, you can definitely aid your team by doing all of those things, clearing a large group of enemies for creating these mods. So don't knock them. Definitely explore them for yourself and see how you go. Um, I'll cover these Dawn mods in just another video because there are quite a few of these that I really, really do recommend. So yep, so we've covered the helmets, the ammo finders. Oh, sorry, I didn't actually cover the ammo finders. So for your ammo finders, these will drop a glowing brick when they activate. They only give you one particular ammo for, especially if it's something like a grenade launcher. So you have to use scavenger perks with them to get more ammos. They are great because they're always giving you ammos just for nothing particularly happening. But just know that if you want to actually really use them, you have to pair these with your scavengers that you'll find on your legs. They do stack, so you can use those as well. Over on the arms, we're going to have things that help with our reload. Same things in the first slot. Things that help with our reload in the second slot. And we have the conversions that we had, what we saw on the arc and the solo from the previous vid. So we have things that will make, if you punch someone, you'll get solar regeneration, grenade regeneration. Or if you grenade someone, you'll get a melee regeneration. Those things have a cooldown, so don't just think if you throw a thermite grenade and kill 5 people, it's going to give you boost for your melee for each of those people. There's probably like a 3 second cooldown in between a kill of that particular type that you will actually get the bonus for. So just bear that in mind. We got our reloaders, again, general ones there, and then the cheaper ones, which are the specific weapon types. So those are the ones that you usually want to go for. If you do want faster reloads, you can get reload perks on weapons, so bear that in mind. You might not need to do this at all, but if you have a particularly slow reloading weapon, you can subsidize the speed for that with a reloader mod. That's all I have to say for those ones. Over on our chess pieces, we're going to get our reserve counts. Now, I don't use reserve counts just because you can do, definitely. There's nothing wrong with it. And if you've got points to stack in there, feel free. I usually use something like an intellect mod here just because I have the points to spend, because the chests don't do anything except reserves and flinching. I don't use flinching. I probably should in Crucible, but I just don't. And I don't use reserve counts because they only add quite a small amount. There are some weapons that they're really good for, but more often than not, I just find it's not particularly needed. But again, everyone's playstyle is different. So if you want to stack up more rockets or anything, that's really good. If you want to start more grenades, yeah, you will get a few more grenades and rockets in each of those. Over to the legs. Legs are quite expansive. We're going to get things for the scavengers. Again, you have the general ones and the individual ones here. We have a mod called Traction. Traction is quite cool, especially if you use it in Crucible. It increases the speed at which you can turn. It is really good, and it's used by people that run around and shotgun a lot. So it increases speed you can turn, but it also increases your mobility. Now, when we look at it, if you can see over there, it's 28, and it says +5. It's giving me it's 33. This is a bit of a lie. I don't know why Bungie do this. It's actually a +10. People in the community have found this out just by like doing experiments and things. So this is a +10 for traction. So it is really great for a mod that just costs 3. Just know that you'd be giving up a slot there where you can actually get more of a specific special ammo in the Crucible if you were putting that on. But traction is definitely a good option. These over here, the dexterity perks, they increase your handling speed. So that is how fast you bring the weapon out, how fast you put it away, and how fast you can aim down the sights. In PvE, not particularly needed at all. You're not needing that super quick reflex. But in PvP, these can be very beneficial, especially if you have a weapon with slow handling and you want to boost that in some way. So bear those in mind. But yeah, your scavenger perks, they're definitely great. Rocking one of these will increase the ammo finder by 1. So if you pick up a brick, you'll get 2 of whatever. And rocking another one will increase it by 3. Amazing on rocket launchers. Cool on anything else. Okay, it's coming down to the mark. The mark is actually a really good one. Over here, we're going to get things that increase the amount of super energy that we get for kills. Again, they're weapon specific. They go the same as the legs and the helmets and the chest pieces for those. On Solas, you also get additional ones for grenade kills. And on the arc ones, you also get additional ones for the melee kills. But those are all, you'll see these big stars around them, which means that they give you more super energy for those types of kills. And we have recuperation. Let me just check our time. Sorry. We have other ones like recuperation. Recuperation is something that I always have when I'm using PvE. I don't use it in PvP at all because it counts on having an orb of light to pick up. But in PvE, always, absolutely always, any build would have recuperation. Well, most builds, some builds actually give you health back for the thing that you've made the build for again. But recuperation's great because all you have to do is run over an orb and then you get your health back, and it just instantly gives you a chunk. I can't hurt myself too well here, so it's hard to show you, but definitely if you have recuperation, always put it on for PvE activities. These are your obviously your artifact stuff, so bear those in mind. Those will disappear. So if you're putting them on a build, just remember to actually revisit that build once you actually finish the season. Over here we have one that gives you grenade energy back for picking up an orb. Decent, but it has to come in line with a grenade build if you wanted to use that. And this one is actually all of your ability recharges when you pick up an orb. Much better. Absolution's a good thing. But the distribution is also a great thing. These two actually go on all class items. So no matter whether it's Void, Arc, or Solar, you'll always have these two. Distribution works on using your class ability. Every time you use a class ability, you get a little bit of a bump in regen to the other abilities, including your class ability. So it kind of keeps it refreshed to keep going again. So that's really good. These are the bombers. I mentioned those in another video. This is reducing the grenades by a certain amount when you're using your class abilities. And then there's enhanced bomber. Don't know why they don't do enhanced for everything else, but enhanced bomber is really cool. And then there's a special and finish. There's the finishers. They're great for regenerating ammo. Definitely. There's one for heavy ammo as well. I don't know why that's actually not displaying on here. But just bear in mind they actually cost you super, so you have to be willing to actually sacrifice a super to get ammo back. But there are probably events where you'll find that's probably more beneficial because it's easier to use your abilities of that super, but it's easier to shoot a weapon that is a heavy that will do more damage for you. So factor that into mind with your builds. I'm just going to cover over the arc and the void just in case I've missed anything with those. So this is the invigoration, it's called. We're getting melee energy back when you pick up an orb. And this is the hands-on, which you get your super energy for getting melee kills. This can stack. A lot of these can stack. So we'll say this with all of those super energy ones can stack. So if you stick one there, you're definitely going to get extra rewards. Again, not double, 1.5. So just bear that in mind. There is my other finishes, so I guess it's just not on the solar class. And then one look at the void. If I have a void piece on, do over here. So void has much less, and it's and I should have mentioned arc is the only one where you don't get a health regeneration for picking up an orb, but on void you get better already, which starts a regeneration. It doesn't give you an instant chunk; it starts your health regenerating. It's arguable as to which one's better. But they're both really excellent perks, so that one is one to bear in mind. Insulation is for your class abilities. That's where the void comes in. So every time you pick them up, you're boosting your class ability, and you've got this over here as well, perpetuation. For using the class, you get your class ability back. And Dynamo reduces super cooldown when using your cast ability. Just something to bear in mind for Dynamo. You have to be in a very close proximity to the enemy to actually get that to work on your class ability. It was absolutely abused in Destiny when it first came in as a thing that could just get people to have supers like in the first minute of the game. So especially with hunters because they run around so close and they get their class abilities charged the quickest, so they were just rolling all over the place and then just going arc strider on everyone. But yeah, you have to be within the distance where your reticle on the radar becomes a large red segment, so that you can actually use that one well. Well, use that one at all. It won't discharge if you're just using it as a distance. So that's the mods. Those are things that you can actually do to actually improve your abilities, weapons, and recharges. Definitely look into those, and you can pick all of these up from Banshee. Look at his stock on a daily basis. If you have the gunsmith materials available, if you hand those into him as tokens, then you have a chance to get them as random drops along with a piece of armor, a weapon that Banshee would give you. So definitely worth to look into those.